fiberglass particles. We don't know the source of it, which is very frustrating, but nonetheless we're doing our best to get it cleaned up, which means that we've had to wet wipe the entire house every day. Bookshelves, trinkets, walls, floors, obviously, surfaces of every kind. In the process of getting rid of this fiberglass dust, my partner is in the trades, so this could have come from his materials that he uses. Either way, we don't know, but it's a big project, it's a big mess, it's extremely dangerous for our health and for our son's health. But as we've been going through this, I've been reflecting on everything that him and I and our son, that the three of us have had to overcome since we've been together, and what that has done for me personally, for just for my outlook on life and my ability to overcome hard things, and the value that you can find in those difficulties and in those challenges. So I just wanted to make a little video talking about everything that we've gone through since we've been together, and why I'm not resentful about it, and if anything, I'm extremely grateful for it. So I'll start at the beginning. When him and I got together, I'll probably tell the story of how we got together and all that some other time, but when him and I got together, we barely knew each other. We had been very casually dating for a few months, and all of a sudden he decided to take me to meet his family for like a once every 5-year family reunion. Anyway, so besides the point, we got together really quickly. We decided to move in together into a very cheap, very affordable little fifth-wheel trailer tucked away in the woods, off the grid. We have to drive 15 minutes just to get into the small town that it's in. So we're living in this tiny little trailer. We don't have any money. We don't even have jobs. We have one car. And a month later, we find out that I am pregnant. So thankfully, we really liked each other. So we were both really happy when we found out. But I was like, I wasn't scared. I wasn't like worried, but I was talking to him saying, how are we going to do this? How we live in a fifth wheel trailer. What are we doing? And my partner goes, don't worry, I'm going to talk to our landlord. We had an instant connection with our landlord when we moved in. He said, I'm going to talk to our landlord, and I bet you, my partner tells me, I bet you he'll build us an addition. And I'm like, you're crazy. He's never going to do that. Our landlord's he's a carpenter. A few days later, my partner comes back and says, our landlord is so happy for us. He is so excited to have a child on the property, and he's building us an addition. I couldn't believe it. So our landlord builds us an extra proper room attached to the trailer. Crazy. So we lived at my mom's house during the construction, and once our son was born, the only car that we had, my partner gets into an accident and totals the car with our landlord. Our landlord's truck was fine, our car was totaled. We have no car, and now my partner can no longer go to his work because he has to drive so far to his work. It's in another town. Loses that job. I don't have a job. I just had the baby. We have an infant now, and by the luck of the draw, my partner gets a job at this farm that is walking distance on the same big property that we live on. So for 6 months, the job that's sustaining our family is my partner's job at this farm. my daughter needs a car. You guys I need to be able to talk to you where you are. We're off the grid completely. Well, not completely. We're hooked up to our landlord's electricity, but that's it. We don't have an address. So my dad tells us, okay, I'm going to help you guys get a car. And then my partner's dad says, we're going to chip in for you guys to get 2 cars because our van is breaking down. It's not working anymore. So thank God once again for our parents. We end up getting this old, really cool looking Bronco because my partner's thinking, well, he really just loved the Bronco, but he's like, I can use this for work. And then we get an old Prius. It was like the first kind of Prius. So for the first time ever, I have a vehicle and I can get off of the property. But we discover that the Bronco doesn't drive properly, so he can't use it to get to his job in Marin. Not to mention it costs, at that time gas was like $2-3 and it was costing over $100 to fill the tank. You can imagine what it would cost now with gas being $5 a gallon. So he can't use the Bronco. My partner can't use it to get to his job in Marin, so I end up having the Bronco, which I actually loved because it was an old Bronco, but the guy who owned it gave it big, like almost like monster truck tires, and it was lifted 3 inches, and it was really cool. And my partner was using the Prius to commute, which made a lot of sense. But eventually the Bronco dies down. Some things were wrong with it that we just didn't have the finances to address, and it dies down. And once again, I'm left at the house, unable to get off the property, and all the while I'm raising our son, our little boy. So once again, I'm stuck at the property. We still have the Prius, thank God, so my partner can still get to work at least. And now, so while all of this stuff is going on, we have a rat and mouse problem in our little trailer that's riddled with holes, and we have mold in the trailer, which we still are dealing with. And there's just, there are areas of the trailer that have never been cleaned, and it's like a 30-year-old trailer. And my partner's parents live in another state, so we occasionally go on trips that they pay for, that they used to pay for when we were struggling financially. And one time we went, like at around the same time frame, we went to this other state where his parents live to visit, and when we came back to a house full of rat poop, mouse poop everywhere. While we were gone, the rats and the mice just had full reign of the house. They had taken over, and we got back from traveling, and the first thing that we had to do was just clean the whole house, picking up poop, mouse poop, cleaning up mouse pee everywhere, rat pee. We went through periods of time where the rats had become so bold that they would just come out while we were in the house, and they would just run around our little house. My partner actually caught like 4 or 5 rats and mice that way because they were just coming out while we were like cooking or whatever in the house during the day. So gosh, that was another issue. Eventually we had our landlord plug up the holes where we suspected they were getting in, and they never came in again. So really glad that we don't have to deal with that anymore. Gosh, what's another issue we had? Oh my gosh. So we have a compost toilet because we're not hooked up to city water. We don't have a septic tank or anything like that. We've always had a compost toilet, and the one that we had when we first moved in was super old. It never worked properly. You have to turn it to mix up all of the waste that you're supposed to mix with peat moss, and the idea is that it's supposed to compost, and then you're you take it out, you bury it in a hole outside, and it just goes back into the earth. I'm all for that, but the one that we had never worked. The, I'll call it, liquid and solids were always mixed, which we never knew at the time creates, it causes it to become toxic. If you keep them separate, then it's not toxic. It's not as toxic, but it becomes very toxic when they're mixed. So the one that we had, it was always, the liquids and solids were always together. So my partner was the one always cleaning out our compost toilet, and because it didn't work properly, the drain would get clogged constantly, and we would have spills of literal waste on the floor of our bathroom. Every time he cleaned it, there was no getting around it because the drain was always clogging. So every time he cleaned it, there would be these huge sewage messes in our bathroom. We have bleached out, the flooring of our bathroom is wood, and we have bleached that wood out. The color of the wood is completely different from when we first moved in, from all of those disgusting messes that he and I had to clean every month when we would empty the compost toilet. So that was just a regular part of our life, literally for 5 years. It was this year that we got that compost toilet replaced. I finally put my foot down with our landlord and I said, look, this compost toilet has never worked. By the time I finally told him that it needed to be replaced, the edges were cracking from us cleaning it with bleach so much that the plastic had become brittle, and now like peat moss dust was coming out the sides. It was disgusting. I cannot believe what we dealt with. The house would smell like sewage. Oh my gosh, I just the things we have dealt with. So finally we got that replaced this year, and now we have a compost toilet that works. It looks like a regular toilet. It works almost like a regular toilet. It's very easy, and I had never had a compost toilet before, so I didn't understand that what we were dealing with wasn't normal, and you shouldn't ever be cleaning up waste spillage on your bathroom floor. They're not supposed to work like that. They're fine if they work properly, if you get a good one. So now we have a good one. Man, what's something else? Oh, we fought so much. We had such a hard time because we barely knew each other when we got together. I always felt like our relationship was spiritually, like we were supposed to be together, because it started out unlike any other, and I always could sense that his core was pure, that he wasn't, that despite his faults, and I mean I had plenty myself, I would say that, well, I don't know if I was worse than him, but definitely equal in terms of the faults that I brought into the relationship. But because we didn't know each other, all of our shadows, all of our demons, had to be worked on in the beginning of our relationship, while we're living together, while we have a son that we're trying to raise and be good parents to. So that was another thing that, was just a constant among these other issues that were a regular part of our lives. And every time, I swear, every time one thing was resolved, something else would come up. Like we would get a car and then it would break down, or we'd kill all the mice, and that was just one family, and then a new family would come in. That was true for many years. We would catch all the mice, kill them all. Sorry for animal lovers, but when you're dealing with mice running through your house during the day with your toddler son walking around, pooping and peeing on the floor, they're so bold and blazing, they're getting into your food and eating your food. When you're dealing with that, tell me, we tried every other kind of trap before we did the ones that just snap and kill them. So you tell me that you're not going to resort to killing them when they're running around during the day while you're in the house with your son, with your little, okay, so don't give me any protest over that. Okay, what's another thing? Mold. No storage. We don't have a garage or anything like that. We're basically off-grid, self-reliant, tiny house livers. Like if you want to give our lifestyle a label, that's what we're doing. So unfortunately, we don't have any storage. Everything is outside under tarps that we can't fit in the house, which is, a lot. We've had leaks in the trailer. Thankfully, we don't have any of that anymore. Our landlord is taking care of it. Oh, I'm highly allergic to poison oak, and there's poison oak everywhere. We live in the woods, so I have had so many severe poison oak rashes. And I feel like only people who are highly allergic to poison oak understand what I mean. For those of you that aren't really allergic to poison oak, or who just haven't had enough exposure to have a really bad poison oak rash, it is like the worst itching you can ever imagine, okay, combined with burning, constant burning. It's like, and I would get it all over my body. I would touch something. I do a lot of gardening, and I would be digging up poison oak roots without realizing it, and then I would be chopping up those roots, and the the poison oak oil is in every part of the plant. So I'd be chopping up the roots and then touching the dirt, not knowing that there's poison oak roots and that the oil has seeped into all the dirt, and then I'd be touching the dirt, and then I would touch my body, and I'm usually doing this in the summertime when it's hot. So I'm sweating, my pores are open, and when you have that combination, it gets into your system. It's not just on, it gets into your pores, in your sweat, and I have had rashes covering my body, and poison oak turns into blisters, so then those bubbles pop, and it's just full of liquid, and I've had like blister craters in my skin, like what looked like actual craters, like dips. I looked like a burn victim, and I felt like a burn victim, but it was so itchy. But you can't itch it because you'll literally just tear your skin off. When you have just like wet blisters all over you, you can't like itch it. Sorry to get graphic about that, but I've had that happen to me so many times, not knowing that I was messing with poison oak, or just being careless. Sometimes because I would go long stints without getting bad rashes, and I would just get careless, and so I would get really bad rashes. What's something else that we've had to deal with? And the thing is we have overcome. That's really what I was reflecting on the other day. We have gotten through this, and I haven't even talked about our personal issues and the things that we've overcome in that department. I mean, and I think the reason, and by the way, our relationship is great. It's not perfect, but I love him so much. He's such a good dad. He's a good person. And we're physically attracted to each other, so that really helps. But we love each other so much, and I mean, our relationship has been so unconventional, so unorthodox, and yet I can't imagine doing it any other way. Like, it's like we were put to the test. To anyone watching this who is spiritual or religious or believes in, the soul and like a higher energy, a greater plan, we were put to the test, and we continue to be tested. But I think because him and I both came into the relationship, we might have been idealistic when we first got together, but we were sincere. We were honest. And I think that sincerity, that honesty, this shared intention of valuing family, and both of us, that I think that's something that was really important, was we were able to overcome all of these insane obstacles because we were both, when we got together, we were both in a place where we wanted a family, and we just happened to find each other. And I mean, I can only say that it was like divine because the way that we met was so random, and the fact that we stuck through everything was just incredible. But we both wanted a family. We both were honest, and yeah, I think it was our shared intention of both wanting to be excellent parents to our son, both wanting him to have like a wholesome childhood. And I just think that you having that is probably the most important in a relationship. Having the same goals, that is what is important, because physical attraction, I mean, of course it's important to be physically attracted, but you want more than that. That's obviously, I think most of us know that that's not going to sustain your relationship. And I'm talking about our relationship now because we dealt with these things together. We dealt with the rats and the mice and the not having a vehicle and the black mold in the house, and not knowing anybody, losing our, switching cars, switching jobs, not having enough money, barely having enough food, not having a washer and dryer. We dealt with these things together as a family and as a couple. So, I do think that this is a reflection of not just our individual, endurance and strength and ability to overcome hardship, but our strength as a couple and as a family. And I think that strength lies in our mutual belief in spirituality and in God, whatever our conception of God is, which is for me and for him is evolving all the time. So we shared that, and we shared the intention to raise our son properly and we had the same kind of idea of the sort of childhood that we wanted to provide for him. And I mean, of course we're failing. We fail whenever we, slip into weakness and indulge our fears and mostly just fear, but we're always trying. We are committed also, each of us are committed to working on ourselves and being honest with ourselves about our shortcomings and about, if we wrong each other, we're willing to own that, at least when we calm down, we're willing to accept that and apologize and try to be better to each other. I'm willing to try to discover his needs even when he's not verbalizing them well or articulating them to me. I care enough about him to want to know what makes him tick and what he needs and what things make him feel acknowledged and appreciated. And he does the same for me. And yeah, I mean, I've just with this new fiberglass situation, it just made me think of everything that we've had to endure. This last, let's see, we've been together since 2016, so 5 years. The last 5 years, 6 years? 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 6 years actually. In February it'll be 6 years. This last 6 years have been the most trying 6 years of my life since I was a child. And like I had a pretty rough childhood, I would say. Not like, I mean, a lot of people have it much worse than I did, but it was pretty rough. And this last 6 years it's hard to say if it's harder, because the thing is intermingled with all of this hardship has been immense growth and watching our son grow and watching this blossoming of the seed of our love and relationship, my partner and I, and then the blossoming of the love within our family between the three of us, watching myself do things that I never thought I was capable of doing and overcoming hardships that I never thought I would be able to overcome. Like, I quit smoking, I quit smoking weed, cigarettes, I quit doing drugs, I stopped drinking. I mean, there's just lifestyle changes that I never thought I was capable of changing. And same for him. I mean, he was in dire straits when we first got together. Not going to put him on blast or anything, but it's amazing what we are capable of when we're willing to be uncomfortable. But the thing is I don't think anyone is going to be willing to be uncomfortable and endure, difficult situations. Like, there were so many times when I would just go and escape back to my mom's house in my hometown because it was so uncomfortable here. And I felt I didn't have any emotional support at times in the very beginning when him and I were dealing with becoming parents and being tied to each other when we didn't know each other and when we hadn't healed our wounds. So we came with massive backpacks full of lead-weighted baggage that we schlepped onto the other, and anyways, so, and I left. I mean, never left the relationship, but I just, like, needed to get away from the discomfort. It was so uncomfortable, but I always wanted my son to have parents that were together. My parents divorced, and the thought of my baby having to deal with separated parents and only getting one parent at a time and not having the the privilege and the joy of having those parents together, I just always felt deep down in my soul, this has to work. I, in my mind, there wasn't another option. It was gonna work. It was gonna work. That was it. There was nothing else. But interestingly, I I always had that belief, like, I don't, no matter what, no matter how crappy our living situation is, no matter how difficult it is for us to learn to communicate with each other, no matter how many rats or mice are in this house, like, we're gonna make this house work, we're gonna make something work, and we're gonna be a family. There was a certain point when I thought, well, actually, I'm not going to go into that because that would take a whole another 30 minutes. But I guess all of that I wanted to say by talking about all of this stuff that we've been through is that when there's a will, there's a way. And that cliche is a cliche for a reason. And I think that we're all capable of overcoming very difficult and trying times. And it is by overcoming those things that we become so much stronger. I was so weak in the beginning of our relationship. I was so insecure. I was so guilt-ridden and shame-ridden and selfish. So selfish, and it was very difficult adjusting to not only having myself to care for anymore and having 3 people, including myself now, with my son and my partner and myself. I was selfish, and that's what bothered me the most, is without having all of these physical, material obstacles and hardships, as well as emotional and mental obstacles and hardships, I would not have discovered the strength within me that it has required to do these things, to overcome this and keep my family intact. Like, it's very trying on a relationship to be dealing with rats and mice running through your house. That kind of thing puts stress on your relationship that if you've never experienced that before, you don't understand. It is not easy. It puts strain and stress on a relationship to have waste, to have liquid and solid waste matter leaking all over your bathroom floor regularly, once a month. That puts stress on the relationship. It puts stress on a relationship to not have enough money to buy groceries and to have to ask friends and family members to help you get what you need. These things, practical life hardships, put extreme stress on relationships, and it's no wonder to me now it's no wonder to me why so many poor people can't make their relationships last. Because when you're dealing with this kind of stress, you can't then also, when you're stressed out like this on a regular basis and this is just your life, it's extremely difficult to be supportive for your partner and for your partner to be supportive for you emotionally. You don't have the reserves left to give to anyone else. Like, you're just trying to get through every day. How are you going to then, you don't have anything to give to your struggling partner, and your partner doesn't have anything to give to you because he's struggling and, mentally with the conditions of your life. So it's no wonder to me that people don't last in relationships because a romantic relationship is of a different nature than family. See, family, yeah, I mean, it's of a different nature because you have to be in a certain state of mind to be able to sustain romance and affection with someone. And when you're in a constant state of stress because the conditions of your life are extremely stressful, then you don't have the will or the energy to be romantic and affectionate with your partner. Like, you're exhausted every day. You don't have the energy. So I'm honestly just amazed that we've gotten through these things, and now I know that if we have more, if something else happens in the future, I never questioned that we would be together. He was so, I knew that he would never leave because he's so principled that he was gonna make sure that our family stayed together for our son. And that rubbed off on me, and I ended up adopting that same principled position. Like, we're gonna stay together for our son. He's gonna have parents that are together, that he can be with every day, both of them. But I finally realized that we also needed to love each other. I'm kind of getting off topic now, but bottom line is, I have so much more compassion for other people now that I've endured so much hardship. I mean, so much hardship. Like, it's not that bad, but I haven't endured abuse in this relationship or something like that, and I really am sad for people who struggle, and I just have compassion for you. And at the same time, though, I hope you know how strong you are, and this is really the thing. If you holding on, faking it until you make it, and if you just have one finger left on the ledge, just hold on, grit your teeth and bear it. This will pass. One of my favorite sayings is, "This too shall pass." It does pass, but if you give up, if you're going through something difficult and you decide to give up and not hold on to whatever you're trying to sustain through this difficulty, you really don't want to do that, because it's going to come back in some other form, and you're going to lose what you didn't hold on to. So that's part of the reason that I never, ended the relationship, despite the horrific living conditions, despite the hardships that we had in our personal relationship. I didn't, and aside from the fact that I wanted my son to have a family, I also didn't want him to have a dysfunctional family. But I didn't want him to have a dysfunctional family, but I also knew that, or believed, I guess, that if I ended the relationship, whatever was causing, either psychologically, energetically, whatever was causing this hardship to happen in this particular setting was not going to end just because I was ending the relationship. I just had this intuitive sense that there was something deeper going on, and that if I ended the relationship and decided to give my son a fractured family, which was really the issue, I didn't want to do that. But if I decided to give my son a fractured family and end the relationship, whatever was causing this hardship was going to come into my life in some other form. I knew it wouldn't end. So I decided to hold on and just get through it, believing with faith, it had a lot to do with faith, that something good, like this, I just would think to myself, this kind of suffering cannot last forever. There is something good on the other side. Things are going to be resolved, whether it was in terms of our relationship or in terms of our living conditions. Things will be resolved. This won't last forever. Things are going to get better as long as I'm coming into it with pure intentions. As long as I'm coming into it with pure intentions, I'm giving it my best shot every day. I'm trying my best. I'm trying to do as much as I can. I'm trying to take care of the house as well as I can, take care of my son as well as I can, provide for my partner's needs as well as I can, endure the hardship, just let it roll off my shoulders, just hold on. We can probably build something, because the thing about building is, if I let this go, then I would have had to start to build something all over again. Anyways, I think I'll end this here because this is a long video, but don't give up when it's tough. That's all I want to say. Don't give up. Things will get better. It's worth it. You'll discover strengths within yourself that if you didn't go through this hardship, you would never have known existed. So, anyways. Okay, bye.